Some of you might be wondering, why would a college student with no children want to work for an organization focused on diapers? Well, today I'm here to tell you why and to talk about my experience with Happy Bottoms, a diaper bank here in Kansas City, and how I use my background and expertise as a budding communication expert to observe the organization in operation and present theory based solutions to communication issues that I observed. I will begin by introducing the scope of the organization and some of my direct experiences, which will lead us into the communication theories I selected to address these communication issues, and then we'll conclude by outlining the solutions that I suggest to address the perceived communication issues. As an organization, Happy Bottoms has had a complex history, but is trending towards maturity even as it is still growing and expanding. Happy Bottoms traces its beginning to a diaper drive organized by current executive director Jill Gaikowski in 2009, where she gathered 14,000 diapers in just 7 days. This led her to start investigating what it would take to formalize and open a diaper bank in Kansas City, which was formally launched in 2010 as Happy Bottoms when it moved into its first packing and distribution plant in Lenexa, Kansas. Eventually, Happy Bottoms outgrew this Lenexa location, and in March 2019, it moved to its current headquarters at 303 West 79th Street in the Waldo district of Kansas City, Missouri. This was a strategic move that really placed them in a central location and really facilitated their presence in the community. This centrality has been key in the success of the organization, where as of 2019, Happy Bottoms has distributed 11,477,957 diapers to Kansas City families in need. However, according to data from Happy Bottoms and the Mid-America Regional Council, Happy Bottoms is only able to annually serve anywhere from a quarter to half of the 20,000 children beneath the poverty line. For many of these children's families, their SNAP or WIC benefits won't apply for the purchase of diapers. So many of these families must choose between paying for food or rent or their infants' diapers. So that's where Happy Bottoms comes in. And looking at how they actually do their work, Happy Bottoms partners with 45 social service agencies and 5 area hospitals, where these community partners register the families, and then Happy Bottoms provides the diapers. This relationship is extremely symbiotic because those who need diapers often go into these social service agencies looking for other services, but then are matched to Happy Bottoms to meet their diaper needs. However, to actually do the work of prepping the diapers for distribution, Happy Bottoms is extremely reliant on volunteers. Happy Bottom needs about 40 to 50 volunteers a week to meet the demands of their community partners. Surprisingly, most of these volunteers are one-time volunteers and come from corporate backgrounds. In characterizing the current state of Happy Bottoms, I would say it is one of growth and change. Happy Bottoms has been able to be financially consistent and has been consistent in its volunteer base. So really the question being posed to Happy Bottoms is how to keep pace with the needs of its partners and families. To answer this question, Happy Bottoms hired 5 new employees in 2019 and at that time committed to a relatively large overhaul of their physical space, a rebranding of their image, addressing the aesthetic appeal and function of their website, and reviewing systems and policies in place to really just make sure that they were 100% productive and beneficial. So, in reflecting over why I chose Happy Bottoms, I initially heard about the organization from a professor, but I really had no idea what the organization did beyond the basics. However, by intentionally engaging with this organization, it really wasn't difficult to see how providing diapers to these infants really impacted their holistic development in very meaningful and measurable ways. Further, throughout my 8 weeks before my experience was so rudely interrupted, I got to work with a lot of amazing people. I would love to introduce all of them to you because their stories are really extremely impactful, even beyond Happy Bottoms. So be sure to ask me about them later. When I was working at Happy Bottoms, I was functionalized and operationally defined as a unofficial intern, and that I worked alongside 2 other interns, Tay and Annika, who were from UMKC and getting degrees in public health. But throughout my semester, I really got to do everything. I wrapped diapers at the warehouse. I went on ride alongs with current staff to drop off and pick up supplies. I distributed diapers at one of the partner agencies and really just got to talk to a lot of people. But really, the most impactful experience was the diaper distribution at Avenue of Life, which was one of the partner agencies. So, really, within about 5 minutes of me being there, my whole preconceptions about the impact of this program were completely shattered. I dealt with clients who ranged from men in knockoff Gucci to a woman who was literally an African American refugee, complete with the infant strapped to her back. In about 3 hours, I worked through four language barriers and really handled about 150 clients. But in returning to the communication side of things, in reflection over what I perceived to be areas of improvement in terms of communication, I really centered on three areas. So, with the staff, everyone got along well and everybody was able to do their work, and work was really communally based. But I really wondered what aspects were missing from this narrative. With the website, I found that it was adequate in relaying the information that it needed to and was user friendly to an extent. But I would argue that a user would be very unlikely to really happen across the site and even more unlikely to stay there or to revisit it. Further, the Facebook page seemed really singularly devoted to volunteer group pictures, and the LinkedIn page was virtually non existent. Finally, even as the organization said it wanted to grow and vaguely said that it wanted to do more and was in a stage of expansion, I really found that these goals were not super well defined and didn't really reflect everyone's organizational voice to a large degree. Throughout this process of observation, I would say that the most prevalent issues with Happy Bottom's organizational communication centered on themes of staff retention, maintaining an effective online presence, and managing its tangible and intangible resources. That being said, I was able to identify some communication theories from my experience as a student that I would believe would be helpful and useful in addressing these communication issues. Beginning with staff retention, in the course of my short experience, three of the newest employees quit in rapid succession within a month, leaving the organization really scrambling to deal with the wake of their departure amidst their efforts to expand. For many of the remaining employees, this was purely coincidental and reflected no rhyme or reason. But using my background as a communication major, I wanted to explore what other reasons there might be to explain their rapid departure, which I did using communicative constitution of organizations. I found the primary issue was that Happy Bottoms was unable to clearly communicate and demonstrate how staff positions could lead to career growth, which I think necessitates improvements on the socialization phases of the membership, negotiation, and self structuring phase, reconceptualizing how work is accomplished in the community and activity coordination phase, and innovating to compete with the messages of outside organizations during the institutional positioning phase. Moving to maintaining an online presence, in conjunction to the improvements that Happy Bottoms had already identified, I used a variety of theories to explain how Happy Bottoms could better structure their website and better develop their social media presence. Beginning with the social presence theory, I believe that Happy Bottoms could better capitalize on how they exhibit social others in their website, along with acknowledging the user and reacting to them when they use the site. To address the negative opinions circulating the website, I combined social influence theory and channel expansion theory to argue that Happy Bottoms should really encourage those connected to their organization to use the site and provide that feedback, and then intentionally use that negative feedback to improve the utility and experience of the site. Finally, to better capitalize on opportunities associated with their social media, I employed uses and gratifications theory to suggest that Happy Bottoms acknowledge that people approach media with a variety of expectations and should better develop their social media to reflect those diverse needs across their various platforms. Overwhelmingly, throughout my experience, I was told by many employees that Happy Bottoms wanted to do more within the community and its operation. I felt like Happy Bottoms was very limited in exploring all of their options. So I used the fundamental perspective of group decision making to suggest a guide by which Happy Bottoms could identify what exactly the issue was beyond doing more, and then establish some measurable goals and criteria and intentionally consider some of those alternatives, and then ultimately evaluate those proposed solutions to the perceived issue. Obviously, these theories have been extremely boiled down for the purposes of this presentation, so feel free to ask me to expound on any of them during our question and answer session. However, from my observation and these theories, I was able to develop some solutions that I believe are relatively realistic for Happy Bottoms and that get the organization started on the right path to really holistically addressing the communication issues that I observed. So, to better address staff retention, I think that Happy Bottoms should devote more attention to the early socialization process of their employees by extending the onboarding and shadowing process. This has a variety of personal and professional benefits, including overall better job understanding and better relationships with colleagues in the fast paced and flexible organization. I would offer that Happy Bottom should be more intentional about providing space for conversation with new employees about their goals and really incorporating that feedback into the organizational operation. Not only does this bring a diversity of thought, but it also alleviates any perception of physical and psychological distance that might be associated with being a new employee. I also conceded in a way and stated that if the pattern of employee turnover was going to be characteristic of Happy Bottoms strictly by virtue of being a nonprofit organization, that they should really continue efforts to codify those employee responsibilities in a shared online workspace like Google Drive, and should seek to incorporate new areas of feedback to strengthen those offerings. To better manage an effective online presence in the website, I would encourage Happy Bottoms to continue to reflect social others in the website as it has done, and that they should look for ways to acknowledge the users through cost effective mediums such as chat boxes or connections to services in languages other than English. To better construct their website, I think that Happy Bottoms should elicit the feedback from those connected to the organization first around their negative perceptions, and then should work with programmers to reflect that feedback in their new site. As far as social media platforms, Happy Bottoms should seek to both diversify their messages and universalize their message across their various platforms to reflect the different ways that people attend to social media. Ultimately, as they continue to engage new and diverse audiences, Happy Bottoms should continue to mindfully craft their messages to reflect both the intended message and how that message is received. The proposals concerning resource management are inherently different because they aren't addressing issues per se, rather, they're pointing out opportunities that can be capitalized on moving forward. That being said, I think there are some alternatives that I thought would help Happy Bottoms to do more. As I was able to experience, schools are really an untapped resource that have unlimited potential. So Happy Bottoms should really seek to partner with schools and school districts to teach students about the importance of social justice while garnering those sizable donations. Happy Bottoms should also investigate ways to reach untapped audiences at events with a well defined structure and a history of success, such as farmers markets or even existing social service agencies like Harvesters. Finally, as Tay, Annika, and myself can attest, college students can be used in a variety of capacities, and many universities require practical experience from their students in order to graduate, something that can be accomplished at Happy Bottoms in a variety of fields, including data analytics, social media, and public relations, just to name a few. In conclusion, this project and these proposals are not meant to be definitive or conclusive, nor are they intended to detract from the great successes Happy Bottoms has accomplished in alleviating diaper need. However, in choosing to apply the elements and suggestions contained within these proposals, I contend that Happy Bottoms will make positive steps to addressing the communication issues that most threaten the organization and will engender more positive prospects for itself as it expands, transforms, and takes shape in the future developments. So at this time, I would welcome any questions that you might have. What questions can I answer for you?